I looked at a couple of videos recently, which I have to say initially pissed me off, but I'm understanding them a bit better now, I think. And there were videos about, well, asking why people weren't talking about important issues, particularly the proposed changes to certain abortion rights or something like that in the States. I've got the details, but it's too complicated to explain. But there's a number of people have been online on YouTube saying, why aren't people talking about this issue? Why are people wasting their time talking about Jesus freak, or wasting their time talking about this, that and the other, when there's some really, really important stuff to talk about? And when I saw this, when I saw a couple of these, I thought, that's not right. Telling people what they should think about and talk about. Do these people, lean over in restaurants to the couple on the next table who are talking about their relationship, saying, "Oh, you two, talk about something more important." So part of me was thinking that, but I've been thinking again about it, and I think there's something else going on there, which is interesting, actually. Because it isn't just, I might be wrong here, but I don't think it's just about spreading the word. Because obviously, if I made a video about these events around abortion in the States, firstly, I'd be talking out my arse because I live in the UK, so I don't have a direct contact with that. But also, of the 200 or 300 people that saw my video, everyone would agree with the viewpoint I would express. So it does feel like preaching to the choir. But at the same time, would the function of any video like that really be to change a mind, or to have any kind of transformative function in the world, or is there something else going on? That's what I've been thinking about, and I think it's to do with something called, mutual knowledge, but it might be shared knowledge. I came across this idea recently watching I was reminded of it recently watching one of Dan Ariely's videos. Dan Ariely, who I've mentioned before, is a behavioural economist, really interesting guy. And he did a book called Predictably Irrational, I think it's called. But he posted this video recently. He teaches in one of the colleges in the States. And he did this video where he showed how he starts his first class in behavioural economics at university where he teaches. And it's a film of the first 5 minutes of one of his lectures, of his introductory lecture on behavioural economics. And it starts by him saying to his students, "Okay, I'm going to just give you a definition of behavioural economics." And then for about 5 minutes he just reads this really, really difficult, impenetrable piece of text about Fordism and economics and lots of postmodern theories in there, and lots of really complex language. And the camera pans across the students, and they're all looking, and slowly, one by one, their eyes glaze over, as this long introduction begins. And then after he's finished the introduction, he says, "I've got one question to ask you, and this question is, why didn't any of you ask me what I'm talking about?" And it turns out that what he did was he just generated this introductory text using the Postmodern Generator, which is this online site where you can just tap in a few words and it'll just churn out reams and reams of absolute nonsense, really. But it's kind of intellectual sounding nonsense, because it seems to refer to Foucault and Derrida and all these people. So basically he just reads nonsense at them for 5 minutes, but nobody says anything. Nobody put their hands up. And the reason why, he says, is because even though they all have individual knowledge of their own ignorance, they're all sitting there in their own little world thinking, "I don't understand what's going on," they don't know that everybody else is thinking that. So while there's lots of individual knowledge, there's no mutual knowledge or shared knowledge. They know their own ignorance, they don't know that everybody else is ignorant also. And because of that, no one takes any action, no one does anything. And that put me in mind of Steven Pinker, who writes something similar about that. He writes about it in terms of, he was talking about films and bits of etiquette, and plausible deniability and a range of other things. But he also cites revolutions, and the recent uprisings in Egypt is a classic example. When a regime is particularly repressive, what typically happens is that the citizens of that regime will all be sitting in their little flats, little dashes outside Moscow or whatever it may be, these places in Egypt, and all thinking, "Shit, this is a horrible repressive regime I live in here." But that's individual knowledge. But just occasionally that knowledge leaks out and they take to the streets, and suddenly when you take to the streets you suddenly realise, Jesus, there's thousands of us, we all think this, this is a repressive regime, and that's when mutual knowledge kicks in, and that's when transformations can take place. And it's for that reason that during those times repressive regimes tend to cut off those systems whereby mutual knowledge could be created. So they shut down Twitter and Facebook, they close the whole internet, the borders if they can, take control of the media and the press, stop the World Service coming in, whatever it may be. You know, they're trying to shut down systems by which knowledge can be shared, knowledge about that situation. So everyone just feels repressed on their own. Anyway, just to return, so I think that might be one of the reasons, I think, why people on YouTube make these videos about, why aren't people making videos about important things? I don't think it's to do with, I may be wrong, but I don't think it's to do with wanting a conversation about it, or wanting to thrash out the details, or not exclusively that, and not necessarily wanting to get us all talking about it so that people's minds are changed. I think it's about the creation of an atmosphere where mutual knowledge is created, that we all know we're all thinking the same thing about the same thing, that it isn't just the 4 or 5 people on YouTube who think this changes to the way abortion might be treated, and how abortion doctors could potentially be killed, and that slaying be justified. It's not just 4 or 5 people who find that appalling. A climate is created where lots and lots of people all think, oh yes, yeah, we do all find this appalling, don't we? And we're all prepared to share that knowledge so it becomes mutual. Yeah, I think so. I have to say YouTube is a terrible platform for that, because unless you actually do make the video, and even if you do make the video, it just kind of sits there, there's probably a better platform to do it. I don't know what that would be. I guess Twitter or Facebook are the examples, aren't they, that people use. But there's probably a better platform that hasn't been created yet. A kind of online street that everyone can take to the streets about certain issues and have a little presence together, you know what I mean? Rather than it just being a series of disparate videos, or disparate Twitter tweets, or disparate Facebook groups. Yeah, that's what we need. An online street and the barricades about these issues. That'd be great.